Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Steve with Sense Medellin coming at you at 11:04 p.m. May Day, May the 1st, 2026. Happy Feast of St. Joseph the Worker, the anti-communist day, the anti-communist day, if you want to really go at it. The day the church put out the combat the Marxists. You've seen the video. The new Illuminati was come on this day, bell time. All the craziness comes out on May 1st. And there's been a priest friend of mine told me about him seeing all these parades and celebrations in Poland. So I've never seen one except for video and photos, thanks be God. But let's get right to it. Also, St. Philip and James Day. They take a back seat, I guess, right now. Because if you look at Gamerge, the write-up is on Philip and James. I know. I think they're also on the 11th in one calendar too. It's calendars are messy. Anyway, let's get to the Buddhists. How about that? Hey, let's start with Clown Planet with some clownish news. The reefer got the Buddhists. 22 Buddhist monks were arrested in Sri Lanka after authorities discovered 110 kilograms of cannabis hidden in their luggage. Largest seizure of this kind at the international airport. They are now investigating whether a larger smuggling network involving monks exists. So, those doggone Buddhists there's a cartel of Buddhists. They don't tell the Trump administration they're going to start bombing Buddhist temples here soon. Anyway, how else can I lead off today? Let's get the Buddhists. Can you get high? Here in North Kakalaki, coming May 15th, that's 15 days from now, mandatory water restrictions will go into effect in Charlotte due to the drought, even though it's rained the last 3 days, I think. It was calling for rain tomorrow. It rained yesterday. It rained 2 days prior to that. But now, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a mandatory water restrictions. We're supposed to get into the rainy season. We had 2 weeks of no rain here, which is funny because we'll get into Iran is getting a ton of rain. So weather manipulation has been all over the place. Charlotte, North Kakalaki, in alignment with regional partners, Charlotte Water will implement mandatory water restrictions, low inflow protocol stage 2, beginning Friday, May 15, 2026, due to an ongoing dry conditions. I don't know why they're waiting 2 weeks to do that. Why don't you do it this week since it's supposed to rain? And then, it's not like it's going to be 900 degrees either. It's supposed to be beautiful. Charlotte Water asked customers to adhere to the following mandatory conservation actions: irrigate lawns and landscapes no more than 2 days per week. And even though lawns and landscapes are pretty much worthless anyway, but so I'm kind of, 2 days per week between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Odd number addresses, Tuesday and Saturday. I've seen that before. It's kind of like how that's what the Mexicans did with the driving in Mexico City. You can only, if you had this in even and odds, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday. Even odd addresses, Wednesday, Sunday. Residential swimming pools may be topped off only on Thursdays and Sundays between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Customers may not wash vehicles at home, fill residential swimming pools, operate water features that do not support aquatic life, power wash services for non-essential purposes, hold charity or fundraising car wash events. Additional recommendation actions include reduce indoor water outage. They won't know unless you have a smart home, exactly. So make sure you don't have a smart home. Water lawns with no more than 1 inch of water per week, including rainfall. So if it rains, still don't do it. Identify and repair water leaks as quickly as possible. Charlotte Water customers are permitted to use drip irrigation, soaker hoses, or hand water plants and landscaping. Use commercial car wash features. My neighbor across the street came over, dropped me off some mixed berry jam. And one of the last conversations we were talking about was talking about how she water in the garden. And I told her about the pots that if you put a terracotta in the ground and bury it, plug the hole, bury it, and put a lid on. You fill that thing up once a week, it'll soak the water, will disperse the water, irrigate the water throughout the week. You don't need. And then, let's see. Here's a stage 2 protocol. Nice little water lawns 1 inch a week. My grass is brown. Your grass is useless. Who cares what color it is? Guilty verdict in Oregon. Rainwater falling on your own land doesn't actually belong to you. Now, this isn't the first time it happened. I think Washington State did this before. Idaho, I think a couple years ago was like this. I've seen this many times. Gary Harrington built 3 reservoirs on his 170-acre property to collect rainwater and snow melt for fire protection. We'll play it. Forget about it. Let's play it. Because that looks like a cool setup. Let's see.
The waterfall. Rainwater is a public resource, and collecting it without permission is illegal.
In Oregon, a man was convicted and sentenced to jail for collecting and using rainwater on his own land. The state government charged him with theft. Rancher Gary Harrington built 3 large reservoirs on his property to collect rainwater and snowmelt. Harrington said the water was primarily used for fire prevention and to provide drinking water for wildlife. However, the state classified his actions as theft and brought criminal charges against him. Under a municipal regulation, all water resources within city limits, including precipitation, are considered part of the public water supply system. The city asked the court to order the removal of his water collection system and impose fines. Despite multiple appeals, Harrington argued, "The water falls on my land. I didn't sell it. I only used it on my own property." The court ultimately rejected his argument. In the end, Harrington was convicted on multiple charges, including the illegal use of state water resources. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and fined more than $15,000. The case sparked strong public backlash, with many residents calling it an act of tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
If a person cannot even own the rain that falls on their own land, what do they truly own?
Yep. Go to jail for 30 days for collecting rainwater. And the land, home of the brave. What is this stupid song? Land of the free, home of the brave. Let's keep up with the tyranny. State level tyranny. Yes, as much. Steve, I thought you were a states' rights guy. States can do anything. Yes, they can. And they also can be tyrannical, because if you don't stay vigilant, you're going to have tyranny at home. DC, you can't really do much with it. State-wise, you can doggone do something about it. Like, I don't know, run, get in office. Again, if people with brains ran in Oregon, do you think that the rainwater collection warrants would be out there? No.
You're now going to get a speeding ticket without ever being pulled over. Avis. No, I'm not talking about the car rental company. I am talking about the automated vehicle identification system. These are like those flock cameras you see at the traffic lights. Well, what they are now going to be doing is they're going to be issuing you speed tickets. Yes, even though you're at a stoplight, you're going to get a speeding ticket, because what they're going to be doing is absolutely insane. It is now ran by an AI algorithm that says, well, if this car was at point A, and then at this time, and then at this time it was at point B, the only way it could have got there in this amount of time is if they were speeding. It will calculate exactly how fast you were going over the speed limit and issue you automatically a speeding ticket without you being able to even challenge it. That's the future of the United States now. Yeah, not too happy about that. But hey, information is power, so make sure you hit that follow button and share this with everybody you know, because everybody is going to be getting.
And when I was in Denver, they had cameras that would take pictures of you if you did something wrong. And they would send you in the mail. So like if you, you ran at a light, even if it was amber, even if it was an amber light and it went red, it would take a photo of you and then ship you the bill. You couldn't argue it. Yes, I had a couple of those when I did Uber. Oh, what was one? Oh, I can't remember what one was. I think it might have been just running an amber. And it takes a photo. It gets a photo of you driving. Like it couldn't even. there was no way you could argue as a that's me. So now they've upped the level. City of Phoenix announces they are preparing a new water restrictions, including charging people who use a lot of water due to a shortage of water. Residents will be under water restrictions. Meanwhile, Arizona has allowed 24 data centers to be built, with roughly 30 more being planned. Arizona is experiencing a major data center boom. The shortage of water is due to serious cuts in the Colorado River water supply. Quote, the city of Phoenix is anticipating serious water cuts of our water supply to Colorado River. We cannot conserve our way out of the problem of this magnitude. I'll go ahead and play it too. So, hey, we got another news short. Anno Domini, hey, how you doing? Happy Friday? Question mark? Yeah, just happy Friday. Yes.
The city of Phoenix is anticipating serious cuts to our water supply from the Colorado River.
We are certainly at a point where the risk of unilateral federal action is very high.
Yeah. It's a day they've been preparing for, and with it, more action will need to be taken. Right now, the City of Phoenix Drought Management Plan is at stage 1, which focuses on educating the public on water conservation. It's a warning that water is running out, and it's worked, like homeowners getting rid of the grass in their yards and using more water-efficient appliances. But with these anticipated cuts at the federal level,
we cannot conserve our way out of the problem of this magnitude.
On Tuesday, the Water Services Department announced by the end of the year, Phoenix will likely enter stage 2 of the plan, where they will have to use backup water supplies to meet demand.
It may include things like additional conservation education, expansion of water audits, incentives, and rebates to ensure efficient use of water.
It could also bring surcharges, meaning if someone uses more water than what they are allocated, they could face additional charges for it.
I'm just looking going, man, where I'm at is worse off than Phoenix. We here in North Carolina is apparently worse than the desert. They also have foreign-owned farms with deep wells growing alfalfa and selling it overseas. Let's cut down on water in the desert. Makes sense. Again, guess where they found all those pots? Remember I told you about the terracotta stuff? In the desert. So again, if you're in there, and there's plenty of things like Arizona, there's lots of veggie fruit trees that you can grow, veggies too, that do not require a lot of water, like jujube. And like I said, I got quite a few in the back, moringa and all that. They don't require a lot of. They don't require water. They're drought tolerant when they're when they've been established. There's plenty of stuff like that, but still, this is just really odd. So many of this is going on. Here's bioengineered lab-grown meat is already in stores, and they're hiding it from you. As it says, look for the words on the labels: cell cultured, cell cultivated, cultured meat, or cultivated meat. If you see any of those, they might be people. I mean, do not buy it. Soylent Green is people. This is not natural meat from a farm animal. This is bioengineered fake meat grown in a giant lab that's from animal cells in the form of fetal bovial serum FBS. Never walked on grass, never saw sunlight, pretty much just, yeah. And you do not know the long-term side effects of this in a healthy body. So that's the main thing.
From a living. Never buy meat from the grocery store without looking for this one word on the label. Most Americans don't even know this exists. But I'm going to tell you, as bioengineered meat starts showing up in stores, it's important to know what you're really buying. You won't see obvious labels like lab grown. Instead, they might use words that sound more natural. The words you need to look for are cell cultivated or cell based. These labels are already approved and used to describe meat grown from animal cells in a lab. This meat isn't from a living animal. It's produced in a bioreactor from animal cells. So next time you shop, read the label carefully.
Soylent Green is people. Man. Lab-grown meat, which is very similar to cancer, is about to arrive in your grocery stores. I've chronicled the lab-grown meat is essentially the same as eating a cancerous tumor. It's not a tumor. If you've seen Kindergarten Cop, I'll post the link to the comments showing the argument I had with Grok, and Grok admitting that lab-grown meat meets the definition of cancer. There's a tremendous push to have this disgusting slop on every grocery store shelf. Worse, they're pushing deceptive and discreet labeling requirements so you do not know you're eating cancer meat. Congress will do nothing, and the FDA sells out everywhere. We, the people, need to demand more. Well, guess what, Tom? Sorry, I mean, I don't know how else to tell you this. Congress has nothing to do with what's supposed to be on the table. The FDA is an unconstitutional group. Neither one of those things should exist. And it's probably because of groups like a centralized government doing junk like this to begin with. If you didn't have a massive centralized government, that if the founders knew that this thing was going to grow to this horrific of a level, the Constitution would have never have been ratified. But yeah, lab beef is yummy. Don't knock it till you try it. I'll give you, MJ. I'll give you one better because you're going to probably think you know what I'm going to say on this. Florida banned this down. Florida banned it down there, and in a sense, I'm against that because they did it because of the meat lobby was paying it off. I'm for it now. Okay, there's going to be Stephen, he's a lopsided fair guy. No, let the market do it. Have it out there, but do it honestly. You got to do it honestly. So if people want that, hey, knock yourself out. I want the real stuff. If people want the fake stuff, let them buy. But make sure you market right and because that will draw price. That will bring the prices down instead of having the price for real meat go up. But again, I mean, Florida did that. I wasn't a fan of what Florida did on that. It wasn't a free market concept. And I'm not saying free market is the only thing. It's just, but government, these guys, I don't trust any of these guys that are in there right now. They say, oh, we care about the people. Yeah, whatever. They don't, especially when they're spraying the skies all the time. I know Florida's trying to get rid of spraying the skies, and I know they're against the jab, so they do some good stuff. They're also trying to build a horrific CIA thing, and they're very pro-Zionist, and they're off the charts. And the guy that's the Trump-initiated gubernatorial candidate coming up, I got him in the next hour, at least in an hour, him and his wife talking about how all the kids need AI in the school. So all these guys are all in the Great Reset portion of this. And yeah, the Epstein lab beef. But yes, I mean, Florida tried banning it, and I'm not a fan of them trying to ban it for that reason. Let it be open, but be truthful about what it is. And back in North Kakalaki, thousands were protested in Raleigh, North Carolina for May Day, with teachers joining kids over corporation rallies for more education funding, prompting last-minute school schedule changes in at least 11 districts. And what's his face? Matt, I sold my soul to Trump. What's his name? I got him right here. He's been losing it all day. Where's he at? I know he's on here. Oh, sure. Let's see, teachers, North Carolina. I think I can find it. He got big after Helene. Here's Matt Van Swol. Here it is. He almost can't write a post without cussing too. Let's see. Here, are you kidding me right now? You canceled my kindergarten class today to cosplay a revolution. You do not care about my kid. I cannot believe this. I'm taking a vacation day from work so you can dance in the park. And I'm like, hey, why don't you just educate yourself? And here it is again, just so we can all be clear. Educators and school administrators single-handedly canceled school for 700,000 Carolina students. I, for one, am happy about that. 700,000 kids didn't get indoctrinated in craziness today, including my son. It has to be about you. So, again, I've absolutely had it. They're talking. I had to take a day off. Why don't you just, I mean, like I said, this guy is on the payroll with the Trump administration pretty much as a cheerleader and gets all the Xbox you can think of. How about, hey, Matt, why don't you take your kid out of state-run education camp or indoctrination camps and, I don't know, homeschool? You know, by a show of hands out there in virtual land, did anybody that homeschool take their kids out of school today? No. Did they eat the kids at the protest? MJ, step away from whatever you're smoking. You never know. I don't know. They might have had some pizza. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. No. Bad, Steve. Bad, Steve. Yes. But it's kind of funny seeing these guys. I can't believe we're so conservative. I'm a conservative. We got to get you back to teaching. You know, state-run education is a pillar of communism. I hate communism, but I like that communism. But yeah. Yep, God is my judge. I understand. Technically, in a way, I was homeschooled after being schooled, because literally after everything, going to school, going to college, doing all that, getting all that. I came out of college pretty much a straight up commie, a gun grabbing commie that also wanted to just turn the Middle East into a parking lot, because I was indoctrinated with the neocon stuff, obviously. And I had a couple people do some tough love with me. So one of my good friends back there would say stuff like, before you say anything stupid again, you may want to learn. Now, if I say that to friends on Twitter or some Catholic talking heads, they get all upset because we're all thin skinned. I like that stuff. A buddy of mine challenged me, told me I was an idiot, and here's why, and told me where to learn. And I did. And I became even bigger than neocon. I at least got out of the other stuff, but then it took me a while to get to where I'm at now, to drop the neocon stuff and get to. Everyone's been in neocon ink before. It's hard not to. If anybody starts out and ends up without being a neocon, they might be lying. Speaking of homeschool, in Connecticut's homeschooling bill repugnant to American tradition. And if you're not on the HSLDA, get on it. They're a fantastic group. They're one of those that if you're homeschooling, you need them on your side. It's worth getting the membership, because if something happens, you can call these guys up and they will back you up 100%. Connecticut lawmakers are considering a bill that would subject every family to a background check by the Department of Children and Families before beginning the homeschool. Now, again, right now, this is just in Connecticut. So will we use Federalism 101, boys and girls in class? What does this mean? This is a problem in Connecticut. I don't like what Connecticut is doing with that. But if Connecticut wants to do it, that's Connecticut's issue. Again, we don't want to be a Yankee. Rule number one, don't be a Yankee. What is a Yankee? It's not just being, it's not regional. It's mindsettle. So it's, say like you get up and you live in Vermont. You wake up and I can't believe those people in Florida are living that way. How dare they? We need to do something about it. That's a Yankee. If you wake up, say, man, in your Vermont, man, I don't like what they're doing in Florida, but hey, I don't live in Florida. Or if you're in Florida and you're upset at what California does, I can't believe California's doing that. We got to do something about it. We got to go over there. That's a Yankee. Now, Florida, that same person gets up and goes, I don't like what's going on in California. But you know what? I don't live in California. That's a California problem. That's the mindset. I've actually had Californian people yell at me because I've said that. They were like, I can't, there's something horrific there going on in San Francisco. I go, well, I'm glad that's why I don't live in California. I can't believe you said, hey, you're the one that lives there. Either go fix it or leave. Guess where I'm at? I'm nowhere near California. And I don't care to ever go into California. It's beautiful, but it's also nuts. And unless California breaks up into 50 different states, if people get activated in there, I wouldn't want to go to California if you pay me, because I think you have to make about $200,000 to be out of poverty in California. I don't know. It's public school service system, served a purpose decades ago. It was the solution of times. That's not the case anymore. Speaking of Anno Domini, great that you said those words. This public school system served a purpose. I'll get into that more in a second. Here's not after evidence, not after evidence of abuse, not in response to even specific concern, but as a condition of carrying out basic responsibility of parent. In this case, choosing the best education method for your child. In effect, the state must clear you before you may begin to teach your own child. That's a profound shift. The U.S. Supreme Court has described this kind of presumption as repugnant to American tradition. SCOTUS has no say in this at all. It's what SCOTUS did right there by putting their toes in it. That's repugnant to American tradition. Yeah, again, you might not like it, but it's a state 10th Amendment. I mean, come on. The bill is headed to the Senate after being amended and passed by the House Thursday night. Again, the problem is centralization. You don't want to nationalize everything, really anything. Okay, why did I say that about who said it? Anno Domini. Why did I say that? Why did I say that about the school system served its purpose decades ago? Because Corbett made one the other day. Where is it? The purpose of a system is what it does. Podcast. Now I don't have. I'll put it in the chat because I don't have it in the show notes. But this is exactly what Anno Domini just meant by just now. You probably didn't know that I was gonna. Obviously, you didn't know I was gonna do that. You might. I don't even know if you've seen this before, Anno. Yeah, I heard Bishop Garcia died today. Yeah, say obviously prayers for him. Oh yeah, here it is right here. The purpose of a system.
System provided by the state that it is. Once again, I think this is probably best demonstrated through concrete examples. So let's turn from the doohickey example to a very real example with which we are all familiar. Of course, one of the things that the government claims to do for us is to provide us with an education system. In fact, so thoroughly has this been indoctrinated into the population that we need the education system provided by the state that it has become almost literally unthinkable for the average person to imagine a world before the government was providing such an education system to its citizens. How could education function if it was not being provided to us in this wonderful education system? And of course, surrounding the education system, we have all of the wonderful rhetoric about how this is going to develop more responsible citizens and equip young adults for the world of tomorrow, etc., and all of the other things that we are told about the education system. But the purpose of a system is what it does. So what is the actual resultant state of the education system as it exists?
A noticeable decline. Teachers sharing the everyday things students can't do for themselves anymore. They can't read, write, or spell and don't care. This is coming from BuzzFeed, who apparently posted up an article, 25 teachers sharing the basic things students apparently can't do themselves anymore. And once that story hit, even more people started to pile on. In response to that, I teach 3K. These are 3 and 4-year-olds, and most of our kids cannot put a jacket on at all. They won't even try. They start throwing tantrums before even attempting, saying they can't do it. It's too hard. The majority of students struggle to read a clock unless it's digital. Kids know they will pass no matter how unqualified, ill-equipped, and unprepared they are. They come to school with the attitude, I won't do the work, and you can't make me. So I'm sad to say, we can't. That's why I quit teaching. Call me a coward. I blame it on No Child Left Behind. It's always those Republicans. I've been shocked by the number of 2nd and 3rd graders who can't tie their shoes. I also have 4th graders who can't write their first and last names. It's really scary to think a kid can get to 4th grade without anyone raising an alarm about their inability to write their full name. I've been teaching high school English for only 7 years now, and the post-COVID lockdown emotional landscape is rough. Students are using AI to think for them, write for them, and summarize any readings for them that are longer than a paragraph. We've put technology in every classroom, but kids don't understand how to use it.
Now that, as I hope my listeners are aware, was a clip from New World Next Week, episode 623. Ehrlich contributes to the depopulation agenda, in which James Evan Pilato there in New Mexico is reporting on the failure of the American education system to actually educate children, but is it a failure? Think, for example, about the rationalization that, as Pilato, I think, rightly pointed out there, is given in this case. Oh, yes, the education system is, of course, meant to elevate and educate and enlighten and inspire children, but it's failing because why? Because of insufficient funding or insufficient resources, or those resources have been misallocated or applied in the wrong way. No, what we need is better people with good intentions to come along and reform the system in the right way in order to produce the real desired results. Because as we all know, of course, the education system is about educating children. But let's use POSIWID. The purpose of a system is what it does, sometimes referred to by its acronym, POSIWID. Well, in this case, let's strip it of the rhetoric. Let's strip it of the rationalization. Let's overcome our cognitive dissonance, and let's look plainly at what the system does. It is dumbing down children. Therefore, the purpose of the education system, at least the American education system as it exists today, is to dumb down children. Now this...
So if you want to watch more of it, again, it's in the, I just put it in the chat. And yes, who's it that said that? God, as my judge said, we haven't given them hope, especially because true hope is only found in Christ. Adjutorum nostrum nomine Domini, who is nearly banned from public school. And guess what? The founding generation would say that would be horrible to do, to kick him out. They would. Which show was it? McClanahan did one years ago. And it talked about how back in those days, there was mandatory Bible studies in schools. Now, the mandatory Bible study was mandatory using a Protestant Bible. And when he said every time he brought this up in teaching college courses, everybody would say, I can't believe they're forcing only Protestant Bibles. And he goes, nobody ever said, I can't believe they're doing Bible study. Well, I'm not saying that they should done, it was Protestants back. They didn't like Catholics at the time, but they were doing Bible studies in schools back in, in the founding days, even the first few centuries. I think it was not until 1960s, 1950s when they got kicked out. Again, guess what? Centralization. And the incorporation with the Miracle Amendment. Oh, we got to have freedom of religion. That's why you have it at the state level. But we have to say anything that happens down the street. Oh, it's 1A. I have a right. 2A. Well, I have a right. I think I said this on with Rick yesterday. One of the HOA that we're renting in this neighborhood, and the HOA didn't want me to, it doesn't let anybody have statues out in the front. And I have there was a St. Mark's had a sale. They would get the big heavy cement statues for like $50 years ago. So I got the Holy Family. I got St. Joseph holding our Lord and Our Lady there. So they're both out there. And the guy we call him the mayor here. He apparently knows everybody. I don't know him. And he said, you could just use freedom of religion for that. And the First Amendment. I go, no, I can't do that. I can use North Carolina's, but not 1A, because it's not 1A. It's the homeowners, local. It has nothing to do with the federal government. It's a mindset you got to practice. Canadian education minister says parents have no rights over their children. Oh, Canada, you crazy bums, just like us. Here, let's go ahead and say it.
And listen to someone say that the parents deserve rights over a child. No, they don't. They absolutely don't. I have 3 children. My main goal in life is to protect them. I will die for my children. You would have to kill me to take my children from me. I will do everything in my power to make sure they're good citizens, that they're inclusive, that they're accepting of people, that they turn out to be good people. They can be whatever the heck they want in life. But I'm tired of this argument because I've heard it throughout my life. What about the parents' rights? It's almost like the foster kids and the kids in care did something wrong, and that we have to allow our biological, and they're not parents, biological, and this is my own, I'm not speaking for every foster child, I'm speaking for myself. But my parents were a sperm donor and an egg donor. That's it. They gave me some genes and walked the heck away. So when we were taken away, they didn't just leave, they left the country. They went back to Ireland.
That is, man, that's gotta mess with your mind. Can you imagine being that way? Hey, who's your parents? We don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, talk about lonely. In Epstein news, this came out yet today. Oh yeah, Derek Bros brought out the Zampoli-Melania Pact, Amanda Ugaro Epstein connections, and the leaked phone call. So you remember a couple of weeks ago when Melania came out and did that little impromptu speech trying to distance herself from Trump and the family because of this. I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. First Lady Melania Trump's words rang out during her April 9th remarks as she finally broke her silence regarding her knowledge of Epstein's activities. Mrs. Trump accused certain individuals of lying and being devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. While the timing of the speech was apparently unknown to even President Trump, online spectators immediately began asking, why now? What has caused the First Lady to make a public statement and risk drawing even more attention to herself? While the timing of the speech was apparently on, perceptive internet sleuths pointed to statements made by one of Mrs. Trump's longtime friends a day before her speech. The friend, Brazilian former model Amanda Ugaro, began accusing the First Lady of staying silent while Ugaro was deported with help from her ex-husband, Paulo Zampoli. In March, Zampoli was appointed by Trump as the U.S. Special Envoy for global partnerships. Remember, we talked about this before all this. We said that this was the rumor. She's coming out because of a friend of hers, and that guy, whoever that husband is in the Trump's organization. Zampoli was appointed by Trump. Okay, are you already aware of the situation? Here's the tweet down here. Do you fully understand the extent? Talking about the tag and Bondi, the extent of the information I possess regarding you and the individuals associated with you. I strongly advise to consider the seriousness of these matters. Any actions taken against me or attempts to escalate this situation could have significant legal consequences. I expect this to be handled with the appropriate level of responsibility and professionalism moving forward. Quote, I will tear down your corrupt system, even if it's the last thing I do in my life. I will go all the way. I am not afraid. Maybe you should be afraid of what I know or of who you know, of who you are and who your husband is, she wrote in another deleted tweet. Ms. Ungaro has a verifiable relationship with Mrs. Trump via Zampoli, who himself has a heavily documented relationship with the Trumps as well as Jeffrey Epstein. Ungaro is continued to post on Twitter X claiming that she has inside information. While American media seems to have zero interest in speaking with her, Ungaro has now been given interviews to Brazilian, Spanish, and most recently Italian media. In each of these conversations, she makes disturbing claims which threaten to debunk the story being told by the First Lady of the United States, namely the idea that Melania had no connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Ungaro has shared striking information as she claims proves that Epstein had secret information about Mrs. Trump and that Zampoli made a deal with the First Lady to keep the secrets quiet. The alleged pact between Paolo Zampoli and the First Lady, Ungaro recently shared brand new details about her relationship with Zamparo and Mrs. Trump and with RIA, a news outlet owned by the Italian government. Quote, I met Melania when I was 18. We saw each other at a few dinners. I was with my friends. We'd sit together. I was very young, Ungaro said in a program titled The Epstein War. Is there a link for this? It's on the, here's the replay video of it. Yeah, there it is. Replay. How long is it? All right. So we don't have to worry about it because we're going to speak in Italian now. Bibbidi bobbidi. Sorry. Where are we at here? But when Trump decided to run for president, Melania started being the first to wish my son a happy birthday. She was the first to send him a big gift delivered by the Secret Service. And from that point on, we were invited to everything: New Year, Easter, Christmas, every occasion. Ungaro also cast doubt on Zampoli's claim of introducing Melania to Trump. Paulo always says, I am the one who introduced Melania to Trump. But now the documents released by the Department of Justice, it says that it was Epstein who did it. So there's a lot more behind this story than it appears. Ungaro claims that the tie between Zampoli and Melania together is a secret pact they made with each other, a pact which reportedly included Zampoli agreeing to stay quiet about Melania's alleged connections to Epstein. Behind all this, there's a deal Zampoli made with Melania because he isn't close to Trump. He's close to Melania. Plain and simple. His relationship with Trump goes through Melania, Ungaro told RAI. He says to Melania, I want to be the ambassador of Italy. Melania, you have to give me the position, a title. But I ask, how can Trump appoint a U.S. ambassador, someone who does drugs, someone who isn't even American, but an immigrant? So it's Melania who's supporting him. It's Melania who's pushing him. Between them, there's a pact, a deal, I'm 100% sure. In response to Ms. Ungaro's accusations, Zampoli told RAI she doesn't know them. It quote, if Melania and Amanda Ungaro's secrets, she could have already told you. No, I mean, does that one, Amanda, know how to keep a secret? Look at the BS she said so far, Zampoli said in a news program. When pressed further about the claim that Epstein actually introduced the Trumps, Zampoli shoots back. You can say whatever you want. It makes no difference to me. If you want to go with that, the whole world knows that I was the one who introduced them. I know that. The president knows that. She knows that. I know it. And the whole world knows it. If you want to say it was Epstein, fine. I'll grant you that. And let's move on. Zampoli also recently told the London Times that Ungaro had not taken the first lady for more than 10 minutes, not talked to the first lady for more than 10 minutes in 10 years. He claimed Ungaro had limited FaceTime with Melania at the White House events, but never had a phone number or email address. A leaked phone call with new evidence. On Sunday, April 26, RAI released another report about Zampoli and Ungaro titled The Shark. This report contains an exclusive audio recording of a phone call between Zampoli and a friend in which the alleged pact is discussed. There's the link. In the call, Zampoli can be heard sharing the information and sharing his involvement with Melania following her 2017 lawsuit against the Daily Mail based on two articles which claim she was an escort. In the audio recordings, Zampoli states, I wrote a document for the president and for the first lady. They used it for their speech. With the Daily Mail, we just won an enormous case. An enormous case. I can't talk about it because I have a confidentiality agreement and I still have to cash the check. We won last week. I am in this country thanks to Trump. He gave me the job. He gave me a job. I started in real estate and built myself a nice house. I would never betray a friend. Zampoli called Melania a good friend, a good girl, and that she was not a prostitute. RAI and Ungaro interpreted the recording as evidence of a mutual protection deal. There's a lot to this. I'll just read a couple of the headlines. The Zampoli Trump Epstein connection. Apparently in July 2019, a month before Epstein's arrest on alleged suicide, the New York Times reported that Mr. Epstein, since the election, has played it up, claiming the people that he was the one who introduced Trump to his third wife, Melania, though neither of the Trumps had ever mentioned Epstein playing a role in their meeting. Mrs. Trump said that her future husband simply asked for her phone number at a party and at the Kit Kat Club during Fashion Week in 1998. The model in the sexual assault pipeline. Let's see. Amanda Ungaro deported with Paulo Zampoli's support. Okay. The story that won't die. While this alleged pact between Zampoli and Trump has yet to be proven in court, these claims offer a possible motive for his actions to deport his ex-wife, Amanda Ugaro, and a plausible explanation for why Melania chose to speak out again about Epstein when she did. While Ugaro has not claimed to have knowledge about Epstein's activities or potential involvement with intelligence, the same RAI Epstein War report includes interviews with Ari Ben Menashe, the former senior executive for Israel's Directorate of Military Intelligence. RAI has long claimed that Epstein worked for Israel intelligence. Whitney Webb was one of the first to report on Ben Menashe's statements regarding alleged links between Epstein and Israeli intelligence in 2019. In the RAI interview, Menashe elaborated on his claims. He told RAI that Israel has a metaphorical nuclear bomb to use to compel American politicians to support Israel's political goals. They have photos of Melania with Epstein. Trump isn't the point. Melania is, Ben Menashe told RAI. As the investigation continues, Ungaro is preparing to tell his own life story. In recent days, Ungaro has been posting teasers of an upcoming book on her Twitter account. One recent post of her working out at the gym simply stated, "The comeback begins now." It appears Amanda Ugaro has not done speaking about what she knows. For a deep dive in the life of history of Zamparo and Whitney Webb and Mark Goodwin's first friends, how the first couples went from modeling mogul to a special envoy. So if you want one more, these are the days of our Trump. That sounds like much. Well, she's going for a book deal, Tennessee. Yeah, here, Rocket Top, Tennessee. Everyone's got an angle. Yeah, why are you doing it? Yeah, it's kind of like when Candace was doing the thing about Charlie. People were telling me about it. I saw, I think, like 15 minutes of her ever in my life. And I would just tell back, well, if she's got some stuff, just do it. Stop talking about it. Just do it. Drop the hammer, get it over with, do it. But people, everyone, doesn't matter who you are, there's an angle to it. You got to milk it for all it's got. I don't know. Seems suspicious. Could be, maybe. There's something. There's something to it apparently, but I don't know. Oh yeah, there's that one. Let's see. Parents with newborns introduce one new food at a time, like strawberries, and wait 3 to 5 days to watch for reactions. Official CDC AAP advice. Pediatricians, here's 6 vaccines at your baby's 2-month visit, all at once, no waiting. Makes sense. Make it make sense. Yeah. Goldman Sachs has biotech. It's curing. Yeah. Introduce slowly the strawberry, all at once. Just give me your arm. Nancy Mace, a voter in South Kakalaki, just made us aware of a small but impactful provision in State House Bill H4817, which would phase out windshield replacements in South Carolina drivers. Now, there's a little joke about this: is if you're anytime you drive to South Carolina, you can tell who doesn't have insurance. And it's people with cracked windshields. Why? Because if you get a cracked windshield, the insurance company will actually pay to get a new windshield. I have a friend of mine's nephew he started his own business doing this. He would just hang out and watch people come up and they had a cracked windshield. He would get them a free windshield, file it under insurance, and make money off it. So if you didn't have insurance, you didn't have a cracked windshield. So you knew who did not have insurance because of the cracked windshields. And apparently they're getting rid of that. Beginning January 1st, 2027, the mandatory waiver is eliminated. I thought it was funny because probably people don't know that about South Kakalaki. This just in, U.S. national debt surpasses size of the entire United States GDP for the first time since World War II. Yay. And it's just going to keep going and going and going and going. I had to throw this in there. Quote by Thomas Jefferson in a letter to W. Crawford, June 20th, 1816. This is a little bit after, because people were wanting to leave after Louisiana Purchase, saying it was unconstitutional because they didn't want Southerners or Virginians in general being the president, controlling in the control seat at anymore. Jefferson, if any state, so New England was looking to secede. They were, it's just the Southerners. No, there was secession movements for a long time. If any state in the Union will declare that it prefers separation to a continuance in Union, I have no hesitation in saying, let us separate. It goes on to say more like, we will give open, we will make, still free trade and all this trade will be there. And it's just, we're not part of it. You're not part of the group. No problem. We'll still trade with you. Still be friends. Not going to shoot you. It wasn't until Lincoln when he said, hey, stay in the Union or we kill you. That's it. Now everyone's like, oh, you can't leave because I'll kill you. No, that was just one tyrant on there. Not everybody thought that. The Daily Wire has reportedly laid off a significant share of his employees amid financial difficulties and declining audience retention. Did Ben keep his job? No. Jock Posobiec gets on his Pope Leo. Because he's on with the Bannon show, and Bannon's all about going after the popes, and even though Bannon's in the Epstein thing, people don't care about that part, and whatever. Anyway, Pope Leo's pick for West by God, Virginia bishop came to the U.S. illegally from El Salvador. That's all Jack has to say, because Jack, he's okay with that blasphemous photo, by the way, because it's Trump. He was upset about the Goodsman, so send him back. Anyways, he's a U.S. citizen now. He entered illegally from El Salvador in 1990, smuggled in a car trunk at age 18, then applied for asylum. That led to a work permit, green card, and naturalization as a citizen in 2006. He was appointed bishop of Wheeling, Charleston today by Leo XIV. So Jack, he's a citizen now. So what's your deal? Okay. I don't know what else you can do right there. Native indigo snakes have been released in North Florida. Native indigo snakes have been released in North Florida in an effort to have them eliminate invasive snakes. The indigos had been devastated by DDT. Yep. That is interesting. Yes, that is off topic, but yeah, it's a little off. Hey, I'm fine off topic. I got kind of, in a sense, I guess, ADD and it guys, random stuff. Where we're going to go from here. Let's see if I can find that thing. Indigo snakes, Florida. Let's see if we can find that. The iguanas. The opossum story. Opossums known to be one of snake's favorite prey. Now scientists in Florida using them to their advantage. GPS collared opossums help track Florida pythons after being eaten. I'm sure you shouldn't be laughing, but that's how you fight. So they eat the tracker and then they go get the python. Let's see. Live iguanas with feet zip tied during traffic stop in Central Florida. Only in Florida will you see iguanas being zip tied. Let's see. Super clams being released. What in the world? Scupper in the Everglades didn't even know this anaconda was there until that would. Wow. If my wife saw that and had that, she would never step back out there again. Here it is. Officials release. Well, that was last year. 42 Eastern indigo snakes measuring up to 8 feet long. They are non-venomous and long-time snake relatives. I can't find any of the story that's now. Live iguanas is the big story in Florida, but and obviously this one, the opossums versus pythons. Yeah, that anaconda one, that'll get you. Yeah. Yeah, apparently, hey, the indigo snakes thing, they've been doing it for years, apparently. We have some big snakes. Yes. Apparently my mom, when we lived in Port St. Lucie, I was born in Stewart. And I think the day my mom said she told Dad, we got to leave, is she was giving me a bath and apparently took a towel and, flapped it out to get the towel out. And she said a snake flew out of the towel. And she said, at that time, we were done. Yeah, let's get to some of the more of the Trumpy news. Was Alan Harrelson call him Trumpy Dumpy news? First off, Rick Scott.
My background. Well, the president said today that he thinks it's basically the trade-off for high gas prices is Iran not having a nuclear weapon. Floridians in your state are paying $1.24 more, though, for gas right now. I assume you've probably heard from some people who are unhappy about that. Maybe some people who do view it as a trade-off. But when the people are unhappy about paying $1.24 more, what do you tell them about how long they're going to be paying more for gas?
Well, Caitlin, my background, I grew up in public housing and I watched my parents struggle for food and struggle for jobs. So I think gas prices, I hate them going up. But here's what's fascinating. I mean, Democrats don't care about high gas prices. They tried to cause it to make sure we all buy electric vehicles. Trump's tried to get gas prices down. He did his first term. He's done it this term. But there's a trade-off right now. I want my family, your family to be safe. And is there a cost right now? It's terrible that we have higher gas prices. But the trade-off is we're going to live in freedom and democracy, and we don't have a lunatic that's going to drop a nuclear weapon on us.
Senator, can I ask you?
I don't know what the price tag for that is, but it's worth it to me.
Yeah. What? We have to have high prices because we make sure we don't get nuked. What? Here's Tim Scott in South Carolina doing the exact same nonsense. Actually, he says it's even dumber.
That's great news, by the way. The fact of the matter is that all of the cylinders are kicking. It is good news. You can even feel in our environment how good things are getting. Gas prices continue to come down, which means that your groceries will come down a little bit as well. We've got a lot of good signs in the economy. We just need to continue to execute and have confidence in the choices the American people have made.
And when he said that, I think gas went up like 70 to 90 cents on average. These guys do not care. They think you're stupid. Here's Trumpy Dumpy talking about it now. Yeah, I forgot about that. Why not? 1, 2, 3.
It's all over the place.
The average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30 in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
Gas is $4.30. Yeah, you know what? We're not going to have a nuke. What?
In the hands of Iran. But the gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place.
What about
You're not going to have to pay a little bit more for gasoline. The gasoline, the oil will go down rapidly as soon as the war is over.
Hey, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But yeah, we play that. We have to play the fear thing. We make sure Iran doesn't have a nuke. Okay. Trump tweeting out the other day, the storm is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. I'm surprised they didn't play Queen. Nothing can stop us now. Trump signs executive order dramatically escalating sanctions on Cuba, targeting energy, finance, and security sectors. Trump signed executive order marking one of the most sweeping expansions. Blah, blah, blah. The order builds on Trump's January declaration of a national emergency over Cuba. So, in other words, we're about to invade Cuba while we're still about to. When are we supposed? Are they destroying Iran today or tomorrow? When is it? Is it Taco Day today or what? I don't know. Here's Trump saying he has announced that the United States will be taking control of Cuba almost immediately. because that's what the U.S. government is now, despotic at home and aggressive abroad.
Good job. An architect who's really talented, has done a lot of work for me. He's got a flair, a beautiful Hispanic flair in particular. And he comes from originally a place called Cuba, which we will be taking over almost immediately. No, Cuba's got problems.
This weekend, thank you, Marky Mark. The story of them being close to a nuclear bomb. Yeah, 40. Yeah, we get. Yeah, no, I know. Iran war hits summer travel. So the Iran war threatens to disrupt summer travel, sends oil prices surging, and flight and hotel bookings are already dipping. Industry experts warn. Again, they don't want you to travel anyways. It's all part of the, like I said, the reset thing. Let's see. Here's an absolute bombshell on Foxy News. Lou, always trolling. Keep trolling.
I brought this up last hour, Rebecca. The Institute for the Study of War said that Iran's security institutions expressed concern about potential protest calls and assessed that worsening economic conditions such as inflation, unemployment, and rising prices could trigger renewed unrest. I ask again to see if there's any information. What do we know about what's going on inside with the people of Iran?
Well, we know very little, but we remember in the beginning of Epic Fury that the Trump administration officials were very careful to essentially talk to the Iranian people to say that this war is not against you and wait. We don't want you to come out yet and protest, but there will be a time in which we will indicate. President Trump also said earlier on in the war that the United States had attempted to get weapons into some people who might be willing to use them against the regime. And we had to halt that because they were intercepted, didn't get to the Iranian people. But my question is, Dana, are we doing that now? Have we used this ceasefire essentially to do some, CIA operations inside Iran to make sure that the Iranian people are armed, because they are going to be a great asset for the United States. It's going to be up to them to finally push over the regime. But the regime is very fearful, I think, of the Iranian people.
Man, could you imagine, say like Iran TV saying something, we're smuggling weapons into states in the United States so that the people rise up against how would that go? MTG, former Congresswoman Marjorie the Gathering and Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump just sent a letter to Congress saying the war in Iran is terminated because today marks 60 days. And in order for the president to have the authority to continue, the Constitution requires a vote from Congress. But the war is not really terminated. Trump is just restarting the clock to avoid a vote from Congress that may limit his power to wage a war on Iran. And the war is absolutely not over just because there was a ceasefire. Also, Trump is about to start military actions again very soon. As we said, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is now. It's 12:08 where I'm at. Hell, I'm ahead of you. You, Mark, and you guys, you're in yesterday still. Also, Trump is about to say it never ended. This is unconstitutional, and Congress should reclaim its constitutional authority. He probably should impeach the guy, but no one's going to do that. I saw this the other day because McClanahan did a video on it. Here's the video. So I link it again. All this is in the show notes because it's under Shermanizing the World. Because this is on Fox News. FoxNews.com. Morning Glory. Will President Trump go full Sherman in the war on Iran? The famed Civil War general didn't want to do what he did, but it was necessary. This guy's a nitwit, Hugh Hewitt. If James McPherson's 1988 classic story, History of the American Civil War, Battle Cry for Freedom, has been translated into Farsi, the remaining leadership of blah, 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 blah. The first was the fabled March to the Sea from Atlanta to Savannah. By the way, anti-Catholic, I can't remember the lady, lived in Maine, is the author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. She saw the glory of the coming of the Lord as Sherman was burning down the South. That was her idea of the glory of the coming of the Lord. anti-Catholic in Maine. I forget the lady's name. You can look it up. You'll find out who the author is. The second was the less well-known, but more difficult, far more devastating for the locals march from Savannah to North Carolina, a march that ravaged the home of secessionist fanaticism, South Carolina, and did so in a way that the state's people did not think possibly, given the geography of its marshy lowlands. Of course, America waged war and won wars against tyrants before, but we do not love to wage war. We have never been a conquering empire. Yeah, ask the people of Hawaii if that's true. Philippines, Panama, great, we'd be here all day. But when necessary, our leaders have been ruthless when it comes to concluding war. It's not a good thing to say. If we can march in a well-appointed army right through Jefferson Davis's territory, Sherman appealed to the skeptical U.S. Grant and Abraham Lincoln, it would be a demonstration to the world, foreign and domestic, that we have the power that Davis cannot resist. By the way, the South would never have done they have stated total war is not the way to do it. They stuck with the rules of war. The Union decided to go total war. I can make the march and make Georgia howl, Sherman added to the debt. It's funny how one of Sherman's sons became a Jesuit priest. Grant and Lincoln. And Sherman was proposing something not done before in the long years of war to preserve the Union and free the enslaved. Well, then free anybody, and the Union will still be there if the South didn't leave. Still a Union, just less states in it. Abandoning his lines of supply and living off the land his army would despoil. Like Lincoln, Sherman believed in the hard war and the soft peace. War is cruelty, and you cannot refine it. We must make the old rich, and we must make old and young, rich and poor, feel the hard hand of war. Let's see. The mercy is in the end. Let's see. By the way, one of the first places burnt in Sherman's march in South Carolina was the Ursuline Convent. Second was the prisons, because that's where the masses were held. Let's see. Where are we at? We have no idea. This because it's with the RSC would not despite there. Trump's courage of Legion. We were expectedly what is the impact of those posts to the IRGC? We cannot know. Eventually we will. In the meantime, Iran's people yearn for freedom, and only Trump can deliver, and probably only through hard measures. So when he was posting this, people are going, are we going to go into, because you had Trump doing something, you had this, they're going, total war is coming. They're actually getting people ready for this stuff. If you want to listen, like I said, if you want to listen more, again, all this in show notes. The McClanahan brings us up and just goes full in on what did Sherman do? What was his mindset? Who was U.S. Grant? What was his mindset? All this stuff. And then none of these guys were good people. Speaking of the whole idea of total warfare, here's Trumpy Dumpy here.
They have no end. The CENTCOM commander come in here yesterday. Was he briefing you on a different approach? Options. What kind of options? How would it look different?
There are options. I mean, do we want to go and just blast the hell out of him and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal? I mean, those are the options.
Do you want to go blast the hell out of him?
I prefer not. Forever? On a human basis, I prefer not, but that's the option. Do we want to go in there heavy and just blast them away, or do we want to do something? They're a very disjointed unitship, as you can understand, Peter. Very disjointed. I mean, they're not getting along with each other, and it puts us in a bad position. One group wants to make a certain deal, the other group wants to make a certain deal, including the hardliners. The hardliners want to make a deal.
He's just blowing smoke right there. They already have a deal. They said not what everything that they're saying is not happening. Who else? Yeah, here's in the Iran drought right here. Ben Swan talking about
It's
it.
happening right now. He who controls the weather controls the world. For decades, conspiracy theorists have claimed that the US government and others around the world were attempting to control the weather as a form of warfare. Well, tonight, that conspiracy is a fact. We're going to show you the documents that prove it. But even more shocking, the war in Iran may have proved that it isn't just a thing of the past. It's happening right now. In fact, Iran is an incredible example. Videos have poured into the newsroom showing heavy rainfall over areas across Iran. And this has been going on now for weeks. In some places, water is rushing through the streets. In other regions, they are experiencing not only massive rainfall, but even snowfall. These are places that for over a decade were dealing with a severe drought. In fact, that drought so severe for the last few years that it was thought that it could cause the Iranian regime to collapse. The situation was desperate. But now, parts of Iran are seeing more rain than they have seen in over 60 years. So what changed? Honestly, a war with the United States, a war in which Iran targeted and destroyed radar systems across the region, including systems that are now believed to be connected to weather modification operations.
Ding, ding, ding.
See, before anyone jumps to any conclusions here, calm down. Let's slow it down. Let's walk through what we actually know, because there's fact, there's history, and then there's speculation. Let's talk about the facts. Iran has been in a drought for years, as I mentioned, a really bad one. In recent years, water shortages have hit agriculture, cities, and daily life. Right? This is not debatable. Iran, like many countries in the region, has been actively trying to solve the problem. So how do you do that? Well, here's where people get confused. Cloud seeding, right? It's not a conspiracy. It's very real and documented. The practice has been used for decades. In fact, countries like the United Arab Emirates have invested heavily in cloud seeding because they don't have natural water resources. They rely on desalination and supplement it by seeding clouds to increase rainfall. It's not just the UAE, by the way. Saudi Arabia, they do the same thing. You can see footage right now of rainfall there. Entire villages, in fact, have even been wiped out. So the idea that humans can influence weather, that part's not up for debate, right? That's old news at this point. The real question is how much and to what effect, and even to the point of it being used as a weapon of war. So let's add another layer to all of this, staying with the facts. Back in 2012, former Iranian president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad made a claim. At the time, it was laughed off. He said that Western countries were finding ways to block rain clouds from reaching Iran, that they were essentially manipulating weather patterns. It was as if the U.S. had found a way to sanction rainfall. Again, this is what, 14 years ago. Media laughed it off. It was a conspiracy theory. He's crazy. After all, nobody can control the weather, right? So now put it all together. Iran was in a multi-decades drought. Then the war breaks out. Reports claim that systems connected to weather tracking and weather monitoring and weather control, or even cloud seeding operations, were obliterated. In fact, every U.S. base around Iran was obliterated. And now, suddenly, record-setting rainfall and even snowfall. Maybe it's all just a coincidence, right? Maybe so. But take a look at this. Turns out the United States has a long history of considering using weather as a weapon against geopolitical opponents. This goes all the way back to 1965. The CIA conducted cloud seeding operations to extend the monsoon season in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. The operation disrupted agriculture and destroyed northern Vietnamese supply lines during the Vietnam War. As President Lyndon Johnson once said, we said it at the beginning, he who controls the weather controls the world. 1965 all the way to 2026. As of today, right now, 30 U.S. states have passed or proposed bans on weather modification. Funny, huh? That means there is no doubt the technology exists, because if it didn't, it couldn't be banned. So, has a weather war been waged on Iran over the past several decades? A war to create drought conditions, destroy agriculture, potentially bring the nation to its knees? And if it was, Iran may have just broken free in a very unexpected way.
Sorry, I was just leaning back, just enjoying the sipping on my tea. Yeah, also harp. Yeah, talking about that. What a coincidence, huh? Okay, so we're the good guys now. I'll go ahead and play this. This.
Well, we get more and more centralization of power. We get the unitary state, which is what Lincoln helps create. This is what we're looking at now. We have the United State, not the United States. We get a unitary state. That's France. We get a military dictatorship. That's Lincoln. Just like Napoleon, this is what the Essex Junta pointed out. We're going to get to that. It won't be Jefferson. They thought Jefferson was the mobocracy they worried about. Jefferson was this mob taking power. Now, we can disagree with that all we want, particularly when Jefferson's committed to federalism. But regardless, eventually we're going to see people that take the ideas and distort them and then push for centralization of power. With those ideas, that becomes Abraham Lincoln. That is Napoleon. This is where people miss it, right? Lincoln was the American Napoleon.
Again, centralization is the problem. No centralization. We're not doing this. Oh, here's Trumpy Dumpy talking about the unconstitutional constitution. So what is it?
So we had a cease-final proposal. Excuse me. Mr. President, it's day 60. Are you going to seek congressional authorization for? Well, no other country has ever done it. It's never been, as you know, most people consider it totally unconstitutional. Also, we had a ceasefire, so that gives you additional time. But no other country's done it. We're in the midst of a big victory. This is a victory like we haven't had since Venezuela, okay, to be honest with you. We haven't had, but, we have a country that lost its way. It really lost its way. That's our country in terms of the military.
Here's CENTCOM's Admiral Cooper's final blow briefing to Trump lasted 45 minutes. We'll play a little Jesse Waters. Got a lot of videos today. That's why it's going to be a 20-hour show.
Well, it could be the Fox News alert. It's decision time. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper has just briefed the president in the Situation Room about what could be the final blow. The U.S. military is preparing for a short and powerful wave of strikes. Targets include the enemy's remaining military assets, leadership, and infrastructure.
Final blow. Will there be a taco day or will it not? Iranians wipe out key U.S. bases across Middle East. Some facilities are now completely unusable. U.S. officials stunned. Never seen anything like it. Rapid strikes with advanced. Let's see. Here's Robert A. Lee. Has been he apparently said the consolidation of states into one vast empire, sure to be aggressive abroad and despotic at home, will be the certain precursor of ruin, which has overwhelmed all that preceded it. It could have been a more truthful, prophetic line in a secular world than that. Here's Trump saying, I do impossible things like becoming president 3 times. Watch. Justin Amash, this is talking about Trump officially informs Congress that the special military operation in Iran has terminated. Justin Amash, straight out of 1984, declare an indefinite ceasefire, claim hostilities are terminated, tell Congress war powers resolution clock resets, maintain a military blockade, which is an act of war, launch further hostilities at any time, and fight for another 60 days. Repeat. Here is... Already an hour 20 minutes. We're not even halfway there.
Cities have suddenly been hit with explosions, fires, and gas leaks across the world.
So is it more than just coincidence? A chain of explosions across the global oil industry, fires, blasts, and disruptions happening one after another across continents, all unfolding during one of the worst energy crises in recent history. Since the start of the US-Israeli conflict with Iran, global oil markets have been thrown into chaos. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point responsible for nearly a quarter of the world's oil supply, has triggered massive shortages. Prices have surged, supply chains have been strained, and then the explosions began. In early March, a fire broke out at a major refinery in Texas City. Weeks later, another explosion hit Port Arthur, so powerful that it was felt miles away. Then April came, and the incidents escalated. Panama, Mexico, Australia, India, Myanmar. Within days, multiple oil facilities erupted into flames, a tanker explosion near the Panama Canal, a refinery fire in Mexico, a massive gas leak and blaze in Australia, cutting national fuel output to just 60%. Each event on its own disruptive, together deeply unsettling. In Washington state, an explosion injured workers at a refinery. In India, flames engulfed a multi-billion-dollar oil project. In Texas, another fire lit up the sky, and in Myanmar, dozens of oil tankers exploded in a single day. Different countries, different operators, but the same industry under pressure. There is no confirmed link between these incidents. Officials cite accidents, technical failures, human error, but the timing, the frequency, the global spread, all during a historic supply crisis, has raised difficult questions. Even the perception of instability can drive prices higher. And right now, perception is everything. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has downplayed concerns emphasizing America's status as a leading oil producer, but consumers are feeling the pressure, while energy companies report record profits. In response to rising prices, Washington briefly eased restrictions on Russian and Iranian oil. Supply increased, but so did geopolitical tensions. At the same time, Ukraine intensified its strikes on Russian oil infrastructure, targeting refineries and storage depots, a strategic move with global consequences. Each disruption adds strain to an already fragile system. In the Persian Gulf, tensions remain high. Oil tankers have been seized, trade routes are under threat, and the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Whether coincidence or...
Let's keep going. Just like a magic trick, just controlling perception. Yep. No, we haven't had any haters in a couple of days. Where those guys at? I miss my hater. Where's my boo? Top AI companies agreed to work with the Pentagram on secret data. Speaking of, before I forget, generals singing in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Trump ceasefire reset War Powers Act deadline. Israel receives 6,500 tons of U.S. ammo and military equipment. 6,500 tons. That's a lot. Israeli media is Israel prepares for a return to war with Iran. That's Israeli media. U.S. may deploy hypersonic missile against Iran. Real cost to Iran war likely doubles Pentagram's $25 billion figure. Kamili says future of Persian Gulf will be free of U.S. presence. As Israel hits South Lebanon, locals turn to Hezbollah. Israeli strikes kill 32 across South Lebanon. U.S. wastes training vetted Lebanese army units against Hezbollah. Israeli strikes kill 3 Palestinians in Gaza City. Israel raids 22 boats attempting to bring aid to Gaza. Israel's envoy of Christian world worked in Azerbaijan. Footage shows brutal assault on French nun in Jerusalem. Congress okays 45-day extension of Section 702. Trump considers pulling some troops out of Germany. China's foreign minister warns U.S. Taiwan is the biggest risk factor. A lack of reinforcements pushes Ukraine infantry to the limit. Here is Andrew. I created the Superman theory culprit. Under 4 years of Brandon, the average 401k went up just $875 a year. In the first year of Trump 2.0, the average 401k went up $24,000. This plus 5 million Trump accounts started for the youngest Americans. These are worthwhile metrics. So now, government from the cradle to the grave is now cool if you're a quote unquote conservative, which I mean, he's not. I'm just saying he's on the fake right. He's not conservative. No one's a conservative. If you're for the government doing things like this, being a centralized power and being incredibly big, you're not conservative. You're the opposite of conservative. Trump accounts are a socialist idea. Just, yeah, the Dow's at 50,000. We should stop talking about that. I love this one. Who is paint bombing Oakland's flock cameras? Sally Agrest, a hero. That's who. We salute you. I would agree. Who's doing that? A hero. Not all heroes wear capes. Yeah, he's a conservative Israel. Spirit Airlines to shut down after Trump bailout fails. We're going to get a bailout, aren't we? Spirit has been seeking a $500 million bailout from the U.S. government, allowing the government to own up to 90% of Spirit. Again, what do they call it when the government owns businesses? I don't think that's called free. I don't think that's called capitalism. No, it's called socialism. The Pentagon would have used Spirit's excess capacity to transport troops, military cargo. Womp womp. Trump on U.S. Navy seasoned ships. It's a very profitable business. We're like pirates. Arr! Fox claimed the Persian strapped mines to kamikaze dolphins. Torture of over 120 dolphins and sea lions confirmed below. It's a pentagram program. Again, clownish. When I asked the chat to come up with an AI thumbnail for me, it always puts a clown in there. I have to tell it, take the clown out. I can't do the clown. But literally, Area 51 just lit up. 17 earthquakes in less than 24 hours, right after talk of UFO files releases. Natural activity or activity underground. Something doesn't add up. Yeah. Speaking of anti-federalism, and wow, he actually said that. Said what? We're like pirates? Yeah, I'll pull it back. Hold on. I'll pull it up. My apologies. I was just going fast because it was a short clip.
Everybody, there was no response. Turn your ship around. Evacuate your engine room immediately. And you see all these guys running out of it. Now, they're 5 miles away. In one shot, into the engine room, blew up the engine room. The ship stopped. They used tugboats, and then we landed on top of it. On top of everything else, we then land on top of it, and we took over the ship. We took over the cargo, took over the oil. A very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
For Vikings. All right, here's the AI, naturalization of AI. Remember we talked about this long ago.
Did you know Trump just released a full national AI framework? In March 2026, the White House put out a major set of legislative recommendations for Congress. It calls for one national approach to AI instead of letting every state make its own rules. The framework focuses on several big areas: protecting children online, safeguarding intellectual property, promoting American innovation to beat China, and preventing what they call a confusing patchwork of 50 different state laws. Supporters say this will help America lead the world in AI.
Centralization. It's centralization versus federalism right there. You get it's right there. We're just saying it. We don't want 50 states. We don't want the states to do their own. We're taking the power from the states.
Critics worry it gives too much power to the federal government and could override stronger state protections. Either way, these recommendations could shape how AI is regulated across the country for years to come. This is going to affect everything, from your phone to your job to your kid's future. What do you think? One national standard, or let the states decide?
There's a perfect example right there. What's it, one standard, or let the states decide? One standard is coast to coast, one blanket thing. States, you get it's experimental. It's kind of like if it doesn't work in Connecticut, maybe it works in Pennsylvania, or people in Pennsylvania don't like it, maybe they move to New Hampshire, whatever. You don't want centralization. This was I have no idea who this lady is. But it's just, Shane goes, I've never seen a Republican administration hire so many Protestant Catholics. The closest thing Democrats do is hire cafeteria Catholics, because JD and Marcos, Catholic votes, that bastion of Trumpism right there. Trump announces his nomination of Dr. Nicole Saphier as the next Surgeon General of the U.S. Dr. Saphier is a Protestant Catholic. Great. No, what that does, it does absolutely nothing for me. The Surgeon General shouldn't exist. The CDC should exist. Where's how come Fauci still is walking free? All this stuff that's going on. And guess what? Yeah, we had this administration of so many Catholics. Yay! The same group that's doing technocracy, the kill switch bill, the CBDC, digital ID. Stop me somewhere. The 702 bill. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, I'm glad. Hey, but the Catholic, they're just technocrats. Trump says he will raise tariffs on EU autos to 25% for not complying with trade deal. Thanks. Once a future king, U.S. President DJ Trump on Friday said he will increase tariffs on vehicles from the EU to 25%, accusing the bloc of not complying with its 2025 trade deal. The Kentucky Derby's this weekend, I think, becomes a bigger business. Locals feel left behind. Just like anything else, the culture is going to change. You get it to a big thing, and people come in, and that's kind of like is coal a field lab growing so fast? I probably could be. I didn't read into her that much. I just thought it was a stupid quote that he put out. Look at all these Catholics. That's great. What are they doing? Doesn't mean that's great. They're a bunch of technocrats in the White House. Fantastic. At least they're Catholic. They're just nuts. There's two-party illusion. The team party politics stuff. But yeah, Kentucky Derby is opening the doors. Pretty much big businesses, and the locals can go pound sand. Sad. Eventually, there will be like NASCAR. It'll be something just weird down the road. And NASCAR was a good Southern sport until it wasn't. Google's data center in New Albany, Ohio, uses 387,000 gallons of water per day. That's over 141 million gallons per year. Quote, what happens to that water? It gets generated with a lot of forever chemicals in it. And the EPA, does not have the equipment to actually clean that out. It's true standard municipal wastewater treatment plants often struggle with forever chemicals, PFAS, because these chemicals don't break down easily and require specialized, expensive removal tech. But don't collect any rainwater. In January 2023, Apple quietly filed a patent for AirPods embedded with EEG electrodes designed to read the electrical activity of your brain, continuously, wirelessly, and transmitted to a server accessible by third parties. This is a funded, actively developed patent from a company whose products are already 62% of Gen Z eaters. EEG data is not background noise. It captures your mental states, your stress levels, your emotional responses, your focus, your sleep, and the same signals used in polygraph tests to determine whether someone is lying. Shell Wards and Tracy Benz report that 29 out of the 30 consumer neurotechnology companies already claim unlimited rights to their users' neural data. Most share it with third companies, and there is no federal law governing how any of it can be sold or used. There is also a hardware problem that exists before we even get to the data. A 2025 Yale study found that RF radiation at levels comparable to Bluetooth earbuds disrupted brain cell development and increased expression of genes associated with autism. Again, this is why you never use Bluetooth or wireless in your ears. Radiation beyond insane going in there. I'm the only idiot in my gym that has wires coming out of things. Never do the Bluetooth thing. Never stick these things in your ears. It barbecues your head. Our thoughts are the last thing that are truly ours. There is currently no law guaranteeing they will stay that way. And remember, this is part of the Great Reset. What is one of the 4IR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution? Look back again at the Great Reset video I made back in 2021. there's a video in it about the guys at Davos talking about the last bastion is your thoughts. They're trying to get into our thoughts. They bring up the whole idea of being able to a political rally, and you're standing there and you hear dear leader say something, and if you don't like it, they can tell you don't like it, and by the way, you get to knock your door later on. Yes, very concerning, but not surprising. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, again, here's the link for it right here if you want to check it out. Everything here is in the show notes, too. Again, look it up underneath. Jason Bassler, 10 unanswered questions about AI driver monitoring we should be asking. 1, where's the data go and who gets access to it? 2, how long does the data stored? How can it be used against you? 3, who's watching the footage? Who can request it? 4, what happens when the system flags you incorrectly? 5, if the car decides you're impaired, are you locked out? Does it require a tow? Does it notify authorities? 6, will there be, like, someone did a video, if you're having a heart attack because your elevation, everything's elevated, the car shuts off on you because your heart rate's going up. They won't let you drive. So you'll die in the car. Will there be manual overrides so a driver can safely move to a safe location if the system errs? 7, who's legally liable when the system errs? 8, what exact behaviors and biomarkers will the system classify as impairment? And what scientific evidence supports those thresholds? 9, what third-party validation standards will be mandated for rare or adverse conditions? 10, how long before this data is used in court or by insurers? Here's Trump recently ordered the acceleration of 6G deployment with the stated goal to operate implantable tech. Good night, everybody.
See how perfect that is. So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6. Let's do it again. What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect that is?
I remember him saying that a while ago. And remember, Elon is all about it. And guess who's there? Still BFFs. It was just a little show pitch that they didn't do that a couple months ago, a year ago now. Off Guardian, this was talking about the EU to require driver monitoring cameras on all new cars from July. Here's where this goes. First, KISS successful insurance claims goodbye. Any accident will be blamed on suboptimal driver performance. And that time, your hands moved briefly from the 10 and 2, or your eye line wasn't correctly picked up by the mirror sensor will be used to blame your fender bender on you. Secondly, there will be a big people drive dangerously propaganda push, ADDW. Data harvesting has shown up to 80% of us might be driving more reckless than we think, or most veteran drivers slip into a bad habits, reports show. Then comes the new legislation to act on this totally fabricated problem. What is it? Oh, it's recertification. Every driver has to be recertified after X years on the road. Or maybe your driver monitoring data will be uploaded to a database and scanned for errors. Those errors are points in your license, and if you could go over a certain number of points, your ability to drive is taken away pending recertification. If you can appeal and drive while your appeal takes place, but the appeal fee is greater than the recertification fee. And if you lose, you have to pay the legal costs, and you're not allowed to drive for double the usual amount of time. You have to pay for processing fee for recertification, of course. And if you fail, you have to wait X amount of months before you can try again. Headlines will celebrate both the fictional decrease in traffic fatalities and that the smaller number of private vehicles on the road has improved the population levels in their inner cities. An opinion piece from an anonymous former driver will appear in The Guardian. I lost my driver's license, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. We're getting... Oh, yeah, here's they are mocking. That's what I talked about with Rick. With the cameras used for national security, this is in the Hilton. And here's my $100 Ring camera. Total HD. You can see up their nose. Autonomous wheelchairs are now operating independently in major U.S. airports, including Miami, L.A., and Seattle and Detroit, with further expansion underway. Yeah, here's the thing: the kill switch. Privacy dead, control dead, freedom to drive gone. Won't start because it detects your eyes are bigger. Won't start because of this. Won't start because of this. Won't start because of that. Yep, it's happening right now. Here's that Byron Daniels. He's the other guy running a. Just give me. I just got a. I finally got my bike fixed today, so that'll be a thing. Byron Daniels' wife, Erica Daniels, says young children in public schools should be surrounded by AI. Why do these people's wives have to be it?
I pay a lot of attention to the latest technology, and AI has me very excited from an efficiency standpoint as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. But for education, I see tremendous potential, mostly for parental empowerment and helping teachers. You know, someone who runs schools, we've always wanted teachers to have a teaching assistant in every classroom. This gives them 12 teaching assistants or more, and is really going to help the teachers focus on the things that only they can do, inspiring passion in children, and teaching from an expertise that only they have and can convey. But all of the other things that they have to do are going to be helped tremendously.
Time to buy an old truck and fix it up. If you can find an old truck and fix it up. That was exactly what Cash for Clunkers was about. Get rid of the old cars so that they can do this, and then you would have to buy their junk. Yes, but a good way to do it is get. I mean, there's people that can get in and try to take a lot of this stuff out. Mike Church used to have a joke say, I just want to be able to go to a place and just say, car, windows, door, key ignition. That's it. But now everyone has to have screens all over the place, things like that. And I mean, there are different levels of autonomous cars. Like even if you have cruise control, that's technically an autonomous level 2, I think it is. You get to autonomous levels, it goes back up and down on that. But more wealthy wives pushing AI to the plebes. Yep, more and more of that. I mean, Melania was the last one, was the other day with them. Yeah, I'll go ahead. Here's Ben. Ben does a good investigative reporting. So here's the kill switch one on him. We've already talked about some of it. Let him do some more.
Buried inside that massive. Imagine that you are driving at night, right? Maybe outside the city, maybe no cell service, no one around. You stop for a second. You go to start your car again, but it won't start. Not because it's broken, not because there's a defect, not because you ran out of gas, but because your car decided that you shouldn't be driving. Let's break it down. Back in 2021, Congress passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Buried inside that massive bill was a requirement for what was called an advanced impaired driving technology. On paper, it sounds simple: stop drunk driving and save lives. In practice, it means developing systems that can and will monitor you, determine if you are impaired, and potentially stop you from operating your car. This is where we go from all of this sounding very helpful to raising serious questions, because let's be very clear here. The law does not say the government can remotely shut off your car. It doesn't say that. But it does require technology that can shut off your car. And now, even get you thrown in jail. See, this isn't just about whether or not your car starts. It's about what your car knows about you, what it does with that information. Let's walk through what's already being developed right now. There are patents for cameras inside your car, tracking your face, tracking your eyes, your attention, patents for microphones, listening to what's happening inside the cab. There's also patents for biometric systems monitoring your behavior, even your condition. Companies like Ford have filed patents, as you heard there, that go far beyond basic safety. General Motors is even building sensors into seats. There is a smart eye driver monitoring software that's already in over 2 million cars right now globally. This isn't a theory. It's already happening. So what does it mean for you? Well, it means that your car is no longer just transportation. It is a data collection system on wheels. And once that data exists, it doesn't just disappear. Now, supporters will tell you, no, this is about safety, about keeping the kids safe, stopping those drunk drivers. It's very important, right? The question isn't whether or not safety matters. The question is, what are you giving up to get it? Because think about this. What happens when this system gets it wrong? What happens when you're tired, not drunk, not distracted, not dangerous, and your car decides, nah, you're not going anywhere? What happens if you're running away from harm and your car says, nope, heart rate is too high, so you must be impaired. After the failed vote to defund this mandate, Congressman Thomas Massie posted this, saying, quote, "Would you believe 57 Republicans and 211 Democrats recently voted in favor of this Orwellian automobile kill switch?" Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna said it too, tweeting, quote, "I voted against this. Unfortunately, too many Republicans sided with Democrats and it passed." And it wasn't just a left versus right issue here. Both sides cannot agree to reopen the government, but they can move in the same direction on this, on a policy that could have tremendous consequences for all of us. It's a lot like that Chinese social credit system, where access to basic things like moving and traveling becomes a privilege, not a right. Driving in this country, the freedom of movement was just that, a freedom. But now it's starting to sound like you're going to need permission, all from a system that you don't control. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Right now, lawmakers say this is about impairment. But what happens when that definition changes? And it will. What if it's not just about safety, but about compliance? What if you fall behind on your taxes? What if there's a fine, a dispute, a penalty? What if you say something on social media that's considered hateful? Could a system like this one day be used to say, you know what? You don't behave, you don't get to drive today. See, let's not ignore the elephant in the room here. It's about remote control. Again, the law does not authorize the government to shut off your car remotely. But when you build a system that can control a vehicle and that vehicle is connected, we all know that eventually the government will control your vehicle. Right now, this technology has really no limit. Today, it's about stopping impaired drivers. Tomorrow, it could be your speed, your location, any number of conditions, real or imagined. It's whatever they say. And if history has taught us anything, once the technology exists, the reasons to use it will expand and expand and expand. If you bought your car, if you paid for your car, you pay the taxes on that car, no one should decide how and if you're allowed to use it.
Yeah, Pokemon Go. Yeah. James brought it up here, and no, James brought it up here. There he is. It was collecting data and building a subset. Yep. That was they admitted to all this. 10 ways in-vehicle monitoring can flag innocent drivers: fatigue, sun glare, dental recovery, medical episodes, emotional distress, religious coverings, post-seizure recovery, allergies, watery eyes, dirty damage sensors, contact lens, dry eyes, not a glitch, a guarantee. Here, spraying our skies is not a conspiracy theory. This is a C-130 Hercules aircraft in the middle of a cloud seeding operation. Multiple countries are using this aircraft for cloud seeding operations. In Malaysia, the Royal Malaysian Air Force regularly uses C-130 Hercules for cloud seeding. The Taiwanese Air Force deploy C-130s for nighttime cloud seeding during severe droughts. Many other countries use C-130 variants for aerosol spraying and seeding missions due to the aircraft's large payload range and rugged capabilities. C-130's cargo capacity of ability to fly at seeding altitudes and modifiable with spray nozzles, tanks, or flare dispensers makes it very well suited for cloud seeding operations. Cloud seeding is happening all over the world. Yep. Here's a kind of wild that Dunwoody, Georgia, a city of just 50,000 people with a median household income of 121,000, is running a Minority Report style Panopticon that looks like this. I've been to Dunwoody. There's a story from 401 Media. City learns flock access cameras in children's gymnastics room as a sales pitch demo. Renews contract anyway. It's Atlanta suburb. Mexico City is sinking so quickly it can be seen from space. I don't know whether they have a photo of that. Did anybody take a photo of Mexico sinking? Trump's sons cash in on dad's war with mega drone deal. We talked about that Wednesday. Crypto King, how Trump has nearly tripled his net worth since retaking the White House. Morning Joe economist Scott Ratner breaks out his charts to show how his worth has skyrocketed thanks to one thing, crypto. Trump's Qatari gifted Air Force One will keep its luxurious royal interior. The Air Force says, this is Wall Street Journal, says $400 million to modify the plane with the security measures, not aesthetics. When the Qatari royal family acquired a luxury jet for its private fleet more than a decade ago, the Boeing 747 was outfitted with lavish furnishings and ornate adorations that would befit one of the world's wealthiest families. I'll play this. This is every parent needs to see this, is what Leela says. There's a couple other people posting this around.
Screen time.
Can you see the screen all right? Yeah.
This is 5-year-old Rose. She was one of 60 kids to undergo an exhaustive study in the US using an MRI machine to scan the brains of kids aged 3 to 5 years old. The results, truly shocking. Interactive screen time causes a loss of white matter in the brain.
Well, in the simplest terms, we could actually refer to as some measure of brain impairment or brain damage.
Professor Mike Nagel from the University of the Sunshine Coast has spent a career studying child brain development.
So white matter in the brain is a material called myelin. So what myelin does is it wraps around the axons of neurons and acts like an insulator, a conductor, not too dissimilar to the plastic coating of a wire. So if we're seeing deficits in myelin production early in life, we're probably seeing deficits in neural connectivity.
The study shows the more screen time a child is exposed to, the greater the loss of white matter. Can you remember your first reaction to those results, not only as a professional in this field, but as a father?
My gut reaction was, wow, I was not anticipating seeing anything like that. It hadn't occurred to me at the time that something as little as, and it said 2 hours a day, was having such a profound effect on the white matter associated with sort of language development. And by association, literacy, it was a shock.
Almost done. Trump officially has terrifying alien-like appearance and creepy government video. Do we have a link for that thing? Gingrich, yeah, people were thinking that she was a robot in it. Madonna and Sabrina debut at #1, but fake AI songs take up 4 spots in iTunes top 10 and more infiltrate the top 100. I don't have the links for the other 4 AI video movie songs or iTunes, but yep, they keep pulling up. Starbucks CEO defends $9 coffee, a really affordable premium experience. I'm saying it. I won't click it, but just trust me. If you want to listen to him talk about his coffee, go ahead. Several states and the LA public schools are setting limits on screen time because you saw the study and all that. Let's see. Waymo's robo-taxis can now be ticketed by California police, but how? Starting July 1st, police will be able to cite autonomous vehicle manufacturers when cars violate traffic laws. I guess they're setting it to the HQ. A Kenyan marathon champion is gaining attention not only for his speed but also for his Catholic faith. Before winning the London Marathon, Sebastian Saw attended Mass and asked fellow Catholics to pray for him. Then he delivered a record-breaking performance. You guys see? You might. I don't know if you heard about this. This is good on him for doing it. This guy took a ball from a kid.
This all kind of just happened in the heat of the moment.
Tell us your side of the story. Now, how did that unfold?
I mean, first of all, I want to just put out an apology and just say I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the family. I'm sorry to the parents, the little girl, her brother. I'm so utterly sorry for everything that's transpired.
He got destroyed on social media for it. I mean, obviously, I think he ended up having to get rid of his accounts. It got so bad.
Like you said, it was a heat of the moment thing. I made a really bad decision, a lot of bad decisions, and I'm paying for it online. And I understand the backlash. I understand everything that everyone has said to me, but there was no malintent, and I did give it back to her, but I didn't do it in a timely fashion. And if I could do it all over again, I would have just grabbed it, given it to her, and been done with it.
Well, Evelyn, we have some sound from her, and she wants to say something to you right now.
Hi, Max. Thanks for giving us the ball back. We forgive you for it. We know the internet has been going wild over this. We hope they forgive you.
I appreciate that from Evelyn. Thank you so much for saying that, and thank you to their whole family. That means a lot to me. It's been a rough 24 hours, 36 hours. A lot of people have said a lot of really mean things. I've handled it. I've tried to block it out and get away from it. But people find a way to say stuff and try to get in contact with me. And I'm just trying to do good by myself and my business. And I just, I hope that people in the city, and people.
I'll see if I can see what he's talking about. If he's talking about, here it is right here. Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Here's him. So he hits it, lands off his chest, goes, grabs it. So it was him and her. So she was crying about it. He started texting people about it. And then the team brings her balls and stuff like that. And then they just obliterate him online. Not the family, but other people. So, I mean, it landed off his chest.
And gone. Daniel Schneemann.
No,
his fourth home run of the
I should have
year.
just given it to the girl after that. I mean, if you just just wore it, you catch it or give it away. One of the two. Here's for this day in history. Chancellorsville, Robert E. Lee achieved the impossible. Outnumbered 2-1. He split the army. Then he split it again. Then he won the most lopsided victory in the war for Southern independence. It also killed his best general. Let's see, this day in history. Oh, I don't have it right there. Sorry. Let me get back to it because you guys did not see what I was talking about then. So that's him apologizing, and here's why he's apologizing. Watch him. He's right there. So he tries to catch him in, and he catches it off his chest, bounces over. She's there for the ricochet. I mean, she was right when she was moving right when it was coming down. She was tracking it. So, yes, new baseball pastime, it seems, is to be outrage. But I mean, this day in history, 1966, a Navy commander reshapes the war. 2015, Charlotte Diana of Cambridge was born in London. 2011, Osama bin Laden was killed by U.S. forces in Pakistan. I don't believe he was at all. 2000, U.S. President Slick Willie Clinton announced the highly accurate GPS would be available to the public. 1997, Tony Blair becomes Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. 1946, an attempted prison escape by 6 inmates in Alcatraz resulted in 2 days of violent fighting. 1939, Lou Gehrig ended his streak of consecutive games played at 21-30. His record stood until 1995 when it was broken by Ripken. 1935, supporters of Sadowski's movement carried out a brief uprising in the Philippines. 1921, Bengali director Ray was born in today of Kolkata. 1920, the Negro National League, founded by Ruby Foster, held its first game and is considered the most successful professional baseball league for African Americans. And noted players included Cool Papa Bell and Satchel Paige. 1903, pediatrician Benjamin Spock, who wrote the number of influential works on child rearing, was born in New Haven, Connecticut. 1892, Manfred Bauern van Richthofen was born in Germany. 1889, Malkit II of Ethiopia signed the Treaty of Wichete with Italy. 1803, the U.S. purchased the Louisiana territory from France, doubling its country size. That's why I posted the Jefferson thing earlier. The United States paid $15 million, which bought about 828,000 square miles west of the Mississippi. 1611, the King James Version of the Bible was first published. The first one had actually all 73 books of the Bible. 1536, Henry VIII had his second wife, Anne Boleyn, committed to the Tower of London on charges of adultery and incest. 1519, artist, architect, and engineer Leonardo da Vinci died in France. Anyways, have a great night, ladies and gents. It was a long one. What was it? What is Friday? Well, good morning to you all now. Have a great night. Click like, subscribe, all that jazz. See you on Monday. God bless and have a great weekend.